Silver buff.
Yacht places, and because we were that is going live in 3, 2, 1. All right, so absolutely crazy here. So you would think that is some sort of Ecto 1 rooftop, but no, that is facial recognition permanently getting put into the UK. In fact, it has much resemblance to the top of the Ecto there. Who are you going to call? Dystopian future, that's who. Again, this is, part of the system that is now permanently going to be put in to London, despite campaigners warning that the move is the first step towards a dystopian nightmare. I agree, and this is something that, of course, everywhere is going to see very soon. This is straight out of China. In fact, Croydon is set to see the cities and the rest of the democratic world's first permanent live facial recognition placed to scan faces and match them to a criminal database. Think about that. First of all, London and the rest of these places in Europe are just absolutely off their gourd. They have done everything towards the internet nightmare that we all fear here in America. But they are going a step further. This is going to turn every street into a possible honey trap. I mean, this is insane. So you're walking down the street, or say you're walking with your family. Say you've got your family and you're checking out the tourist trap. A camera spots your 20-year-old daughter's boyfriend, and turns out he has a warrant. All of a sudden, a white van pulls up with some sort of facial recognition weapon, and they go, pop, pop, yep, that's him, and they pull him into the van. That sounds unrealistic, but that actually happens. DOC in Seattle, I've been sitting at the bus stop and seen somebody pull up with a facial recognition thing with a screen on the back and go, hey, you're not supposed to be here. This is a drug and alcohol area. And they just literally snatch them up into a white van. That happens here. Now imagine in there where they're putting these dystopian rules in. That is absolutely crazy. And what if you were falsely accused of something? And all of a sudden, or what if one of the many scandals that's happened over the years where somebody is falsely blamed by the government and they use these facial recognitions to track and trace you? What if there's some sort of mistake? What if the facial recognition is wrong and you get a SWAT team responding and they end up taking your life because they think you're somebody else? This is horrid, and I'm absolutely disgusted by London. And you should be too. We'll be right back right after this. We're going to talk about war and why all this week we have had more and more evidence that something big is about to pop off. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfugelnews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, it looks like we have a lot of great people in the chat. Karen Myers, Ryan Alter, what is going on? Jake Malone, Passamaquoddy, Great Gazoo from Citrus Springs, Florida. Nice to see you. T-Saw says, grow a beard. I have many times. I rather not. Is that the mark you to be a masculine man? You have to have a beard. My wife personally doesn't like when I have a beard, but thank you for the advice. I'm Smart Dust. Good evening. Tracy Q, Bobby Sue. We've got Susan in the house. We've got Gemcat, Jake Malone, James Hilly, and RT Rankin. Nice to see you. So what do you guys think about the facial recognition cameras going up in London? I would love to hear your opinion about them down below. All right, let's move on to the next story. And for that, I'm going to bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine. And no, I don't think a beard will do anything for facial recognition. You'll see right through it.
Oh, I get that. So, by the way, it does not work. And people have special masks that they have bought. Well, think about this. Your Apple can see if you've gained 40 pounds. Your Apple freaking phone can see not only if you've gained weight or lost weight, it can see if you're tan or light, even if they have actually covered people with all blacked out paint and it still catches them because it's actually looking beyond that into your bone structure. It's very, very scary stuff. And that's just on our phones. So think about that. Again, now they're selling these crazy masks, and these are available on like Amazon. You can pull over and it changes into a different person. And what's even crazier is these masks can be famous people, but once a person puts it on, it mixes with their facial features and it turns it into another person. In China, we have actually covered that there were actual brands and secret companies that were forming to create all sorts of things like shirts that would have designs that would trick the facial recognition. I can see that this is going to be big business, or at least somebody is going to make a mint in London making stuff exactly like it. All right. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that. Nathaniel Williams says, hey, what's good? All right, Dex, let's talk about the secret CIA files claim Ark of the Covenant has been found.
Wow. So, kind of interesting on one hand. I think we've heard a story like this before. We've all watched, probably have seen Indiana Jones movie about the Raiders of the Lost Ark, etc. And certainly we know the story of the Ark. But apparently in the 80s, and this is coming out in documents, and it may have been talked about before, but I guess there's new documents coming out talking about this specifically with the CIA. They had hired and used somebody, a remote viewer, and they were called remote viewer number 32. And they were given the coordinates to locate a target. And they described, what they described at those coordinates was the Ark of the Covenant. They weren't told that it was going to be the Ark. They didn't tell them anything about it. They were the ones that described in great detail. They, described it as having, the wings on it and everything. They in the wooden box, wing-shaped angels, box with gold and silver and wood, and the way it was decorated and the way they described it. They also said it couldn't be opened by anybody. It could only be opened at the right time, and anybody that tried to pry it open would be destroyed based by some sort of force that was unknown to humans. So that's what this seer, or remote viewer as they called it, predicted. And that's what's in the documents here. And ultimately we don't know where it is. They didn't say exactly. They just said it's somewhere in the Middle East. So obviously if this works, if this remote viewer was able to see it and the CIA gave them the coordinates of where to go, then obviously the CIA knows the exact location. And I guess that's the point here. So I guess that is the big question is it still there? Do we know where that location is? And can it be found? And who's holding it? Or who's hiding it? The remote viewer did say it was in an Arabic area, but did not say specifically where.
And I'm sorry, you guys. My dog, they're trying to calm him down, but we have lightning and thunder just going off like crazy. Yeah. And then you'll probably hear my little ones going nuts. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so freaking cool. It is crazy. When we have lightning here, we don't have it very often. You guys in the Midwest, you get it all the time. Dex, you get it all the time. Like you have to replace things because you guys are constantly getting struck. When we get it, we don't have it. Yeah, that's true. We don't have it very often, but when we have it, it's bad. You guys remember the live stream I did 4 years ago? I was in a parking lot of Fred Meyer and I was stuck. And it was just lightning everywhere. Just boom, 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 boom. It was they had something like 3,022 strikes in an hour. It was insanity. And it was a night just like tonight. It's very humid. It was like I think it was like 70 yesterday, but before that it was 50. So it went from like 50 to 70. Now it's like 80 degrees, summer night, and it's just going nuts out there. So yeah, I might lose power. I've got my Jennies charged. The show will end if it goes off, but we're going to be fine. We've got our gas generators all stocked up. We've got our grid. We've got our energies. So we've got all of that stocked up. So don't worry about us. But hopefully that doesn't happen. I hope nothing gets fried. I didn't want to do this. I put something in between so nothing would be fried. All right. And then Airbus chairman sees strong indications an emboldened Putin is mobilizing forces to attack NATO's eastern flank. Now, pay attention to where this is coming from. This is the Airbus chairman, Airbus, the plane manufacturer, right? I thought it was kind of odd, but again, there's been a lot circulating around planes and Putin. Planes, of course, Poland ended up saying that Putin was going to organize massive events, using commercial or even, industrial planes to do some sort of attacks on the U.S. or other countries, right? That was a statement that was done. And then, of course, over the past few months, they even said that they might even put explosives or timed explosives, and all these crazy stories have come out. Now, the Airbus chairman, which I don't know, did the Airbus chairman get filled in on something, says that there's strong indications an emboldened Putin is mobilizing forces to attack NATO's eastern flank. Renee Oberman says Putin may seize a moment of weakness in the U.S.-Europe alliance to build a strategic land bridge via the Suwalki Gap, which connects the Russian ethnic enclave of Kaliningrad to its client state of Belarus. Now, I'll just show you the map here if you aren't familiar with Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is right in the middle of all of these other places here. You have, of course, you have Belarus right here. You have Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, and then you have Kaliningrad. This is officially Russia. And then you have the main of Russia over here. Right? So they're talking about something like that, a land bridge, right? And that would go, they're saying that they would go into other countries to try to go into Belarus. That's pretty crazy. And as far as attacking NATO, they look at those three places, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, as NATO's doorstep or doormat, right? Those countries are afraid that they're just going to be, stepped over in some sort of bigger fight. Now, do I believe that Putin is full gung-ho to take all the Soviet Union back? I don't know if that's true. In fact, I believe it's mostly not. But I think that the European nation and the shadowy figures that are running this entire planet are trying to get this war started. And that is because there is huge, money we can't even comprehend. Money that your 50-mile yacht and flying anywhere, owning a skyscraper, that kind of money doesn't matter to you. That's the kind of shadowy figures that we're talking about. Above the Bezos, above the craziness of somebody like a Bezos or an Elon Musk, which we'll be talking about Bezos in a little bit. He had a crazy wedding, $2 million ring, $32,000 a night room for everybody in Venice. I know a lot of people like the royal weddings, but sorry, I'm not a big fan of the gaudy, crazy money weddings that they have. But yeah, this is something that it's like, why is this being said? Dex, this is like now more and more people are coming out and saying this kind of stuff. Why? Seems kind of obvious.
Well, it certainly does. He's got a vested interest. He's got obviously warplanes to sell and new drones with missile slinging technology on them that are coming out. Lots of stuff from Airbus, just like there would be from say Lockheed over here, Boeing over here now with the F-47. So they've got a vested interest in seeing more war. It has always been on the table that Russia would want to reconnect motherland with Kaliningrad. So it was a big part of Russia for especially during the Soviet Union. somehow I guess I don't know the exact history of how it resolved after the USSR, but it was able to stay. That small, little enclave there remained part of Russia. So they've always suggested that they'll just come through Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and just connect it. If Russia was to move forward into Europe, that would be the first hotspot. What they're suggesting now is just a short-term intervention of having some sort of land bridge, which you could ultimately think. I think it's extreme to think they would do this, but they could go right down the borderline of Poland and Lithuania, right? And if you grabbed, I don't know, 100 foot of border on each side and worked your way in, then you would only be defending a short amount of land off of, or taking away a short piece of land from each country to then create this land bridge that would get you to that. Now, I don't know if there's like a river running through there that actually defines the territory, which might not make sense. But the point is, it's just could they create that, and what would it do for Kaliningrad strategically, having land capability directly into Russia via Belarus?
Yeah, and it does look like there's at least one river that's along the border, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, because right here, this is Belarus. This, that's 50 kilometers. So that's I'm a miles person. I'm in America, but so that's roughly how many is 50 kilometers? I know that's more in miles, right? So is that less than 100 miles of land that they would
31 miles.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was reversed. So that's 31 miles that they would have to take, roughly. I'm looking at the map here and how long. It's actually less than that. It would be like 28 or 27 miles from here to here. So that's something that you would think that you would be able to try to negotiate with them, since this is part of that land. But nobody's negotiating with Russia right now. We're going to talk about, of course, the European Union telling everyone to get ready, literally to have every citizen have a go bag ready right now. So we'll talk about that here in a second. I do want to remind you guys right now, EMP Shield is not only doing that big giveaway. I recommend getting an EMP Shield, period, because an EMP Shield could protect you that. If I wasn't renting right now, I could actually hardwire, like Dex has, into my house, and any kind of lightning strike, any kind of EMP strike, or any kind of Carrington level event from the sun, a solar event, would be able to strike my house, and this thing would ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second and allow it to protect all of my stuff. Everything plugged in within 250 linear feet if I was able to do this. I rent, I cannot do it. Same way, in fact, what's funny is one of my apartments let me do this, and my current place won't. But this is a great device, and what's even greater is that we have hounded them, and actually we didn't even have to hound them. They are a very cool company, and they're doing a giveaway right now specifically for the Fugel fam. So this is just for us. This is a giveaway of 5 EMP shields to 5 different people, and one lucky winner could actually get $1,000 in-store credit for Grid Down. Grid Down is, of course, they are now doing EMP shield protected generators. So very, very awesome. That, again, if you already have a Grid Down or have a generator, you could always go and get yourself a ton of solar panels or a ton of really cool gear. So again, go over and check it out, marfugelnews.com/giveaway. There are, again, multiple ways to gain more entries into that. Again, you can go over to the website to find out more. Also, while you're over there, they have a huge sale. Again, buy 1 EMP shield, get $20 extra. That's on top of our 50. All of these are. 2 EMP shields, save 60. 3 EMP shields, you save 120. And 4 EMP shields, save 200 plus 50 for each additional one. So if you do pull together with a family member or a Fugel family member or somebody, and you all want to get one, you could potentially save the most ever beyond any Black Friday, and this combines with our sale. So our link. So Marf, that code will actually stack. So if you do end up pulling together to get 4, that is the best deal. You'll get over $100 off on each unit, which you're getting a huge chunk of it off. All right. Again, go over and check it out, marfugelnews.com/giveaway. You can also just go to marfugelnews.com/EMP if you want to go get one. You'll support independent media, prepare yourself, prepare your cars. It's super easy to put in your car in 10 minutes. All right, and then Ukraine demands fighting-ready troops from Europe. Everything they have asked for, they have received. Now, most of this was back when we had JB in office, and everything they asked for, they got. But now, the new JB, it seems like France is stepping up, is not only offering their neighbors a nuclear umbrella, but much of the EU is offering troops to Ukraine. And at first, they're saying, oh, well, we'll send peacekeepers in and all of this. Well, now they're demanding fighting-ready troops from Europe. They have seeded this into our head for over a month. This is going to happen. I guarantee it. We're going to see troops from different European countries, and guess what that's going to do to the other side? Well, North Korea has already joined in on the fight. Iran has a treaty. This makes sense, especially if Israel and Iran are about to go to war. This whole thing is about to pop off. Watch, because Russia's going to help out Iran. Iran's going to help out Russia. Russia's going to help out North Korea. Everything is about to pop off. I feel it in my bones. Again, tell me what your opinion is, though. I know a lot of people are skeptics if this is ever going to happen. But I tell you what, this is a long-term game. This isn't planning a wedding. This is planning a world war. And it takes years. And we, I think, are at the very end of those years. Dex, they asked for it. They've gotten almost everything they've asked for. Surprisingly enough, that's stopped recently, but is it going to continue?
It absolutely is going to continue. I think this is all part of the pregame. Look, with Europe lining up, and what we're going to talk about in just a minute, with what France did to tell their people to get a preparedness plan about how they were going to respond to an invasion, with all of the rhetoric around pointing the finger at Putin for potential sabotage with planes, with fires, and recently the fire at London Heathrow Airport, the wire cutting that has happened, the blaming of a Russian captain on a ship that took out a oil tanker that was full of military fuel in the UK. And now we've got both the UK and France saying they're willing to send in troops, and now everybody's just on edge waiting for the war to break out in Europe. And the last and final thing that Putin has said will not happen, he will not allow, and that is any of the NATO countries putting troops in Ukraine. So what is Ukraine demanding? Troops in Ukraine. The NATO countries outside of the U.S. are saying, yeah, we want to put troops in Ukraine. They all know that is the next step, and I can't imagine it's not going to happen. I just foresee it happening because they are marching towards war, and that's exactly what they want.